Hello and welcome to Geekatplay Studio Tutorials. In this tutorial we'll look how to create some cartoon materials, cartoonish looking materials. This is an example. So we will replicate that image and we'll have it several steps. It's how to create trees, how to create materials. We'll look on different type of materials like this one, for example, green, and some other variation, for example, like this pinkish kind of. So you can create interesting different images with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin by pre-creating models that we will use for our ecosystem, our trees. And we're using a simple primitive, so I will use the sphere. We'll just slightly stretch up. Okay, let me move it away. Next, let's create some for the tree trunk, and again we'll just use it cylinder and just slightly readjusting. So it will look okay, and I will just place it right on middle. So this is very primitive. Next things, let's take our sun, just the lighting, and I want placed on this side. So when we start working on highlights on our material, we can preview them. Okay, at this point, I think we can go ahead and work on the materials. So the tree, and let's go ahead. We can edit color map, but if you double click, it will open for you selection, and we're going with a simple green in our solid color selection. Or you can just go ahead, add material map, edit current color, and select from here. For example, if we want to go a little bit darker, or if you want to select any other your color that is not on that palette. So let's click OK. Okay, again. On a bumps, we won't apply anything. You could apply some very simple cartoonish bumps. Example, we can go ahead. Okay, let me just slightly readjust so we can see all of it. Okay, for example, you can create value node and go to flat panels and maybe go with blocks or clumps or any other one which is look more cartoonish, and just connect to this. But I don't want to do any texturing on this point. As a highlights, what I'm going to do is edit color, and we go ahead and add kind of like yellowish color to this. And again, with the highlights you can play around and see what you like it. So I'm setting this one, and I'll go all the way up to 100 on the brightness, and I set where you do shiny will give it us plasticky look, but in our images, if you remember what I was trying to achieve with this nice spread highlights. So what are we going to do? Go all the way to the next, in effect tab, I want to make a picture a little bit more bright, even in a shade kind of highlight. So I will increase diffuse just slightly up, and ambient as well. On luminosity, I just put it maybe just 1%, so it will kind of reduce a little bit darker shade. Contrast, will just leave it as this default. Okay, let's go click OK for this one. And if we render at this point, you can see we already have it very similar highlights, clean. Don't worry too much about shade, shadows. This dark will work after on this. Right now what we try to concentrate on this material right here. Okay, next let's work on our trunk, and it will be very similar. we'll just go ahead, edit color for this. And example, we can create some other one, darker green. So we'll kind of keep it in same theme, same palette. You can change if you want it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and set again very bright and a dual on this one. And the same as effects again, pop up just slightly. Maybe even 3 on this one. So okay. Next things, we go ahead, select both of them, and I can go ahead, click group or Control G if you're on a PC. It will create a tree. So let's go ahead, name this tree 1. Reason is why we're naming tree 1. We will create 3-4 different type of the trees. So this is our first. And now when you create your model, you can go ahead, right click and go to saved object. Let's go ahead and just type tree 1, click save, let it render a preview and click OK. So next things, let's create some variation. The one variation we'll create is make it a little bit smaller, so we can just squeeze down a little bit. And again, you go ahead and rename this one tree 2. Okay, and the same way we go ahead and click on save object, and we go save this tree 2. Also, when you save the object, you have it right here, title, preview, and description. So, for example, you can give it name, and in description we can give it any text. On that case, when you start using or when you start loading a tree, you can see when you create it, what is precisely, or any other useful information. Okay, let's create OK on this one. And you know what? Next, for example, I want just even it's still all grouped together, I can still click just on a sphere, for example, and manipulate with the sphere. So in this case, I can readjust even more if I wanted. So this one will be very tall tree. Let's go ahead. What we've done right now, we're creating variation of the trees that we will go ahead and use it in our ecosystem. So let's go ahead and save this tree as well. Okay. Next things what I want to do, it's creating kind of materials, start creating our terrain, how it's look. So let's go ahead, switch to widescreen. Actually, one thing, sometimes maybe you want not just use the widescreen, maybe you want to create, go ahead to user define and creating by using your settings very wide. It's very recommended if you're using landscape look or other ones, don't just lock yourself to one standard screen size. Try to manipulate with a very wide screen, tall screen. Just bring additional character or a feeling to your image by manipulating with its size, camera position, or even camera angles. And I'll show you in a second how we can manipulate more with our cameras. So let's go ahead right now, remove our tree. Before we do this, one nice things you can do, you can go ahead to your material, right click, okay, right here we go to default material, and let's go check a couple of things. So we need to edit this material. Let's save it by itself. So we name there you go, cartoon green. So we can reuse it next time. Don't just replicate it, and it's helpful. Okay, and we call cartoon green material, and we'll save it. So we can reuse that material. Okay, go ahead, delete now. And creating landscape, it's actually much more easy. So we go ahead, create sphere, and we'll go to squish this sphere down. placed right here as well. We take our main camera and just maybe slightly go up and look down. Okay, so here is our one sphere. Okay, so this is one. We want to create maybe more right here. And one thing, if you go over your object and you press down after Alt button and left click and drag, it will replicate. So you can copy your objects this way as well. So just go ahead, make smaller, maybe place one right around here. Or you can just Control C, Control V, copy, paste. Increase, make it bigger somewhere around here. Okay, also will be nice to have some on a background right around there, and we can just create new sphere. Make it bigger size. And again, for example, on this one we won't squeeze, so we have a bit more steeper, kind of steeper angle on this. And let's create one far away. So we'll create sphere, very large sphere. We'll put it on a background and place it right around maybe here. So we have our castle going with or some other ones. As well, we probably want to place it something up front right here as well. So I'll just copy and place. I think this is about right layout. Next, we can go ahead, select all of our materials, and just let's go ahead, load it. So we'll go ahead, click on green. Okay, and here's our preview. So we already preloaded kind of materials, and you can see it's look like our base for that. Okay, to work on the water, we'll just take our ground, edit material editor. Again, if you for some reason in basic material editor look like this, just go ahead, click on advanced material editor. And again, okay, so what we're going to do with this, we go create a water. And again, we go to color, we'll go to load it, just blue color, solid blue. You know what, maybe I want to modify this, just make it a little bit brighter. Okay, next, couple of things. One, we can just leave it flat, or we can add bumps. And again, how I said before, if we go ahead, edit function, and maybe just add so actually I want to have it not fractal, I want to have it noise, connect to our noise, and we'll go ahead and select anything you wanted, like war chat, for example. Let's click OK. It will give it a little bit cartoonish, still be looking for this. Okay, next we go to our highlights, edit color, and we'll just, you can go ahead, select any color for the highlights. It will go bright, but because it's kind of warish looking, I don't want to go all the way to the dual. I will go a little bit to the shiny, so we'll have it on a bumps a little bit more represented. Next we'll go to effect, and again just slightly pop up. And one more thing, we'll go to reflection and have it maybe around 15-16% set on a global reflectivity. What I want to do is don't give it too much reflection, don't hide our colors, but slightly reflect on the object around, so it will give it kind of more waterish look. Okay, so you can see right here we have it some bumps, and just lightly right here reflection going, so it's look a little bit more kind of like a water. Okay, next things, let's go to our, click on first sphere, we'll go open material editor, and we go ahead add ecosystem. Now we'll go to the ecosystem general tab and start adding our plants. When we click on edit, instead going to plants, we'll just go ahead inside and select the objects. And this is one of the big power of the ecosystem that allowed you use it not just inside the Vue plants and rocks. It's allowed to use it any object that you may create it as an ecosystem, and that can be done in any other external applications. So we'll go ahead, add tree 1. Okay, we'll go ahead, open, navigate tree 2. Ahead, open object, and we'll go to 3. So we have our 3 trees. Okay, because it's a small object, I will go ahead and populate to preview, and we can see it is kind of going over all. Sometimes people ask, I use it manipulate with the density and also with the scale. The reason why I do it's again, all the scale, it's a relative, it's suggestible, so it's whatever you think. You don't necessarily need to go exactly all presets. However, you can do this, but for me, for example, what I want to do, it just doesn't look right size. So for example, right at this moment, I will just increase size for those. So I think they're a little bit too small, so we'll make them a little bit bigger. Okay. Again, I'm watching right here. Maybe this size. Okay, so we'll leave them right here. Let's go ahead and populate the same for other trees. So we'll click OK. We'll go ahead, right click and click copy material. We'll go on this sphere and we'll paste. Click populate as well. The one thing what also I want to do, and I kind of forgot, I want to have it direction go to perpendicular, so it goes straight up. Okay, and as well I maybe want to decrease even density more, so we don't have too many trees, because I want to see the through the our objects. Okay, so here is two example. If we go perpendicular, you can notice our trees going in a funny way, like follow the curve of the object, and if you do vertically, they're going straight up. So it's up to you how you like to create for your cartoonish look. And in some ways, the ball will look very nice. Anyway, so let's go back and just keep this one. Couple things also, if I want avoid overlapping instance. Okay, let's go to here. We'll switch back to vertical. Okay, copy, and we'll just go ahead, paste material on this one, and paste material on this one. Okay, also have it one more right here, and we have it far away where it will display as a castle. So let's go right now, and before we apply materials, we could actually select and apply materials, but only says do not populate yet. So we'll do after we placed our castle. Let's right now import our castle and set materials for this. So to do this, we'll just go ahead, file, and we go to load object. And I have it right here, castle. You can have any castle that you can purchase from Cornucopia, or in our case, this is our marsh castle from our collection from Geekatplay. So I'll just load it. Okay, right here, our castle. So I just want to be sure it's positioning how I want it. Okay, I think this is about right. Next, we want to replace materials. You can go ahead, for example, right here, you can see it's a 17 materials in this model. We can go and replace single one by one, or you can go inside the model right here, right click, and say change material. So, and I want globally change material for all of this. So I go ahead, select flight white color. Okay, we'll go ahead, open material editor, and just modify a couple of things. Again, we'll pop up our highlights, and the highlights color, you can set what you like it. I'll just set a little bit, okay, to reddish color. Is effects, I want to increase slightly contrast. So what it does, contrast increasing, let's go all the way up to the side. You can see right here, the contrast will give us this hard line between dark and soft. So I want just have a little bit harder line, so we'll have it more depth because it's all white, and adding this hard line will give it us a little bit more perspective, a little bit more details in the castle without blend everything to the white. Okay, let's click OK and click on preview. Again, right here you can see we have it kind of nice outlines. You know, maybe we need to work a little bit more on this one. Instead, go all the way to the white. We'll just slightly move to make it slightly bluish color. So I'll give it a better look on this. Okay, and at this point we can go ahead to our sphere and populate. Okay, and right now when we populate, you can see if we have too many or we want to decrease our density down, so we can see between trees. Okay, it's about here. Couple things I want to adjust. I want to go ahead, move this island maybe around here. Okay, we could work a little bit more on reduced density on our trees, but for this part of the tutorial, this is very rough preset for our first materials and everything. So let's go, and then next we'll go inside the poser, if you have poser or other ones, and we'll look how to preset our poser for our crocodiles, and we will import models and do working a little bit more on materials.